Why, oh why, are Jewish holidays not on the same day every year? I will explain it today on Hebrew Help with Sapir. Welcome back to Hebrew Help. I'm Sapir, and it has been so long since I've done a video. I'm so sorry. But I've been wanting to do a video like this for a long time, talking about what's going on with the Hebrew calendar. Why are the days changing around all the time? Why are the holidays not on the same day every year? And each time a holiday comes around, I keep seeing it where somebody does a cute little short that says, don't ask your Jewish friends when whatever holiday, Passover, Hanukkah, when it is, because we don't know either. And it is so true. Every time a holiday is coming up, I have to look it up multiple times to remember what day it actually is. So in this video, I'm going to explain the Hebrew calendar, show why the dates don't match up every year. Hopefully, by the end of this video, you will understand it. So it's important to understand that, of course, Jews around the world, but also Israelis use the Gregorian calendar for normal daily life. So they do have words for the regular months of the year, and they use them, right? They go by the year that we're in, 2000. Right now it's 2026, and they use the months, the names of the regular months, and those coincide with everybody else's Gregorian calendar. So the names of the months come from German, and I speak German also, so I recognize them immediately when I learn them. But they're also pretty intelligible, or most of them are anyway, to an English speaker. So here they are. They're Januar, Februar, März, April, Mai, Juni, Juli, August, September, October, November, and December. Especially the ones at the end, probably also Februar, April. They're very easy to understand. So nowadays, when I need to know when the next year's holiday is, I usually just Google it. But back in the day, our only method was to use a Hebrew calendar. And these are always usually given out. I've never had to purchase one. They're given out at a synagogue or at a Judaica store right around Rosh Hashanah, which is the New Year. And that's September, October time. So if you just go to synagogue, you will see them around and you just take one. If you're at a Judaica store, they often have them and they will let you take them also. So both of these, you can see they're slightly different. They've got different pictures on them. I'm a member of two synagogues, and I got one each from each synagogue this particular year. So each page actually represents a month in the Gregorian calendar. So here's May of 2026. So it's, in that respect, it's just like any other calendar. What you can see is at the top here, it says May of 2026. And then at the top here, it tells you what months are represented on this page in the Hebrew calendar. So we have Iyar and Sivan, and this is the year 5786. And it says it also in Hebrew. It says the exact same thing in Hebrew up top. And so then each box that covers each day will also tell you what day it is for the month of the Hebrew month. So this particular day, which is the 3rd of May, is also the 16th of Iyar. And this also says 16. And of course, Hebrew dates are usually written with the traditional system, but in case you don't know it, there it is. They also have a lot of the Western holidays, right? We've got Memorial Day down here, Victoria Day in Canada, but it also has of course, the Jewish holidays on it. So like right here, this just passed, it was Lag BaOmer, the 33rd of the counting. We were counting the Omer in this whole period, so you could see that we've got, it tells you what day of the Omer it is, like what day of the counting. Totally unrelated to the calendar, but what we're counting is the days in between Passover and Shavuot. And there are 50 days exactly between the first day of Passover and Shavuot. And so we are counting them the whole time. And so it's reminding you what day it is every single day. We've also got Yom Yerushalayim, which is not a super religious holiday. It's more celebrating the day that Jerusalem was reunited. I don't know, back in, was it 1967? So there are holidays that are Jewish, but that aren't actually specifically religious. They're all on here too. And then we also have when there's the first of the month, the first day of the month is always something a little bit special. So they let you know, hey, in case you hadn't noticed, this is the first day of the month. And then they also have every week at synagogue, we are reading a specific parsha of the Torah, and they tell you what parsha we're reading each week. And then down here, they also have the candle lighting times for Shabbat. We're supposed to light the candles 18 minutes before the sun goes down. And so they give the candle lighting times in a lot of the big cities. The city is listed here, and then each of the Shabbats that, that are in this month. And so these calendars, before the internet became a thing, these calendars were like essential. There was no other way to know what was when and when the holidays were coming up and what day anything was, and if you had a yard site, when that was, and so they were super, super essential. Now, almost all of this same information can be found online, right? I just Google, when is Pesach this year, right? And like I said, I will Google it about 5 times before I finally remember what day Pesach starts. So I'm in a lot of groups on all different social media, all about Hebrew and learning Hebrew. And I see a lot of people ask what gives with the Hebrew calendar. Why? I don't understand it. Why are the holidays on different days every year? People inevitably will post something that looks like this. In the responses, they'll often get a lot of diagrams that look like this. And it makes me laugh because this diagram, it kind of vaguely tells you when the Hebrew months are with respect to the Gregorian months. At the very top, we see Tevet, and Tevet is generally in the range of December and January, but this is certainly not very specific, and of course it's not meant to be because Tevet will move around with respect to December and January, and so you can't be more specific than this. But I also feel like it's not exactly very helpful because this didn't answer anybody's question. So that's what I'm here to do now. I'm here to explain why Jewish holidays are not on the same date with regards to the Gregorian calendar every year. So the Hebrew calendar, sometimes people will call it a lunar calendar, but it's actually a lunisolar calendar. And that means it is affected by events with relationship to the moon and the sun. The Gregorian calendar at this point is pretty much strictly solar, right? We have 365 and 1/4 days in a year. The word month in English is related to the word moon. And we can tell that they're kind of vaguely, a month is vaguely the length of a lunar cycle, but our months actually don't have any relation to the cycles of the moon anymore. And this is because nature is messy. The lunar cycle is roughly 29.5 days. And the year, the time it takes the Earth to go around the sun once, is 365 and a quarter days. And those two numbers are not evenly divisible. So the closest that we get is that 29.5 times 12 is 354. So that's 11 days shy of the 365 days that make up an actual trip around the sun. 29.5 times 13 is 383.5. So that's just about 18 days more than the 365 days that it takes us to go around the sun once. And so there's no making the lunar cycles match up exactly with the solar cycles. So what we did in the Gregorian calendar is we just made our months a little bit longer, right? And so they really don't match up with lunar cycles anymore. So the Hebrew calendar has 12 months, and they all start exactly on the new moon. So here are the months in order. They are Nisan, Iyar, Sivan, Tammuz, Av, Elul, Tishrei, Cheshvan, Kislev, Tevet, Shvat, and Adar. And each month either has 29 or 30 days exactly. Some of the months are very specific that they always have 29 days. Some of the months always have 30 days. And then some of the months, it's usually the winter months. They could have 29 or they could have 30. And I'm not quite sure how they determine, but they are, I guess, adding a day to make it match because the moon cycle is not exactly 29.5. It's, I've got it here, 29.53059. I'm sure, you could go on and on and on, but obviously it's a little more than 29.5. 29.5 would have been an excellent, nice number because you can make half of your months be 29 days, half of your months be 30 days, and you're done. But because it's not exactly 29.5, we have to occasionally make a 29-day month into a 30-day month so that it will continue to match the cycles. Matching the lunar cycles, making the first day of the month match the first day of the new moon is extremely important in Judaism. But so is having the holidays at the right time of year. So if we were to just strictly do, okay, here's 12 months, that's 1 year, here's another 12 months, that's another year, we're going to have a problem because there's only 354 days in 12 lunar cycles. And so you're going to be 11 days shy of the actual time it takes the Earth to go around the sun. And so this is going to mess up the months with respect to what season they're supposed to be in. And this is exactly what happens with the Islamic calendar, which is a strictly lunar calendar. If you live in the Northern Hemisphere, December is always in winter, and July and August, they're always in the summer. But that is not the case with the Islamic calendar. Think of the holy month of Ramadan in the Islamic calendar. I've made this little animation that shows how Ramadan actually moves up 11 days every single year. So we can see that in 1997, Ramadan started on January 10th. But because it was so early in the year, there was another Ramadan that started on December 30th. And then in 1998, Ramadan started on December 19th. So the previous year, it had started on December 30th, and now it's starting on December 19th. Now in 1999, it started on December 9th. And so we can see that in this graphic, it keeps moving to the left by 10 or 11 days every single year. So we see it moving. So in 1997, it was a winter month. It was in January. The very next one was in December, winter. But by 2011, It is a full-fledged summer month. We don't want to be like the Islamic calendar, where a month might happen at the total wrong time of the year. It actually specifically says in the Torah, you celebrate this holiday, you celebrate it in the spring. So Passover needs to be in the spring, Shavuot needs to be in the summer, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, these all need to be in the fall. And so we know how in the Gregorian calendar, every 4 years, we get a leap year and we get one extra day in February, right? We get February 29th. But if every month needs to start on a new moon, and there's so much of a discrepancy between the lunar cycles, right? You're 11 days one direction, 18 days the other direction. What are you supposed to do? So they can't just add like a single day. They can't add 11 days. It's not an easy calculation. So basically, the Hebrew calendar is on a 19-year cycle. And within these 19 years, we get a leap year on the 3rd year, the 6th year, the 8th year, the 11th year, the 14th year, the 17th year, and the 19th year. So 7 times within this 19-year cycle. But what do we do with a leap year? Well, first of all, a leap year is called Shana Me'uberet, which literally means a pregnant year because it's pregnant. It's got 1 extra month in it. And what we do is the last month, if we're considering Nisan, the first month, the last month of the year is Adar. And what happens is we have a second month of Adar. And that is what happens on all of those years that I said, the 3rd, 6th, 8th, blah, blah, blah. And we get an extra whole month of Adar. So if there is only one Adar, we just call it Adar. If there are 2 Adars in a year, we'll call them Adar Aleph and Adar Bet. It's like saying Adar A and Adar B. Some people might also say Adar Rishon and Adar Sheni, which literally means first Adar and second Adar. If we're writing this in the Roman letters, we will use the Roman numerals. So we'll write Adar with a capital I and then Adar with 2 capital I's. And we do this because if we didn't add an extra Adar 7 out of every 19 years, the holidays would be at the wrong time. So I made this little graphic. It's very similar to the one that I made with the Ramadan. I made this to show how the Hebrew months move around with respect to the Gregorian months from year to year. So if you look at any one month, you can see it moving to the left, and it basically moves to the left about 10 or 11 days until we get this yellow month, and the yellow month is Adar Bet. It's the second Adar that only happens every 2 to 3 years. So when there's a second Adar, it pushes all of the other months back over to the right later in the year. So the Hebrew months are moving 10 days to the left for a couple of years, and then boom, they move to the right 29 or 30 days. And then they keep moving to the left 10 to 11 days at a time, and then boom, another Adar Bet comes along and moves it to the right. So we're going to watch a 21-year period. It starts with 1997, it ends with 2017. We're going to watch what happens with Nisan, the month of Nisan, which is the month that Passover is in. And we're going to watch how it, over the course of 21 years, it does not move out of the season of spring, right? It's always there, hovering around March, April, and May. It does not move out it doesn't move any further, any earlier in the Gregorian year, right? It doesn't move into winter. It doesn't move into fall the same way that Ramadan does. So one thing that happens is that sometimes people think that because there's this 19-year cycle, that means that every 19 years, a date should exactly match up with the Gregorian calendar. So perhaps like on my 19th birthday, that it should be the exact, like my Hebrew birthday and the Gregorian birthday should be exactly the same. But that's not exactly always true. And that's mostly because of the leap years in the Gregorian calendar. So it'll be close, but it'll be possibly a day or two off. And one little extra interesting note is that if an event happens in a year where there's only one Adar, and then here you are in a year that has two Adars, when are you supposed to celebrate it? In the first or in the second? And the answer is in the second. And we can see this very often with relation to the holiday of Purim, which was in the Tanakh. It's in the whole book of Esther is all about Purim. And so in the book of Esther, it says that we shall have a big party on the 14th of Adar. And it doesn't say Adar Aleph or Adar Bet, because of course, back in biblical times, they didn't have an Adar Aleph and an Adar Bet. In the Shanim HaMe'ubarot, the pregnant years, we celebrate Purim in Adar Bet. And here is a super, super wonky thing. The first month of the year is Nisan, which is in spring, but Rosh Hashanah, which we consider to be the new year, and which is the actual date that we change the number of the year that we are in, is in Tishrei, which is in September or October. So on the 1st of Tishrei, now we're in a new year. We've got a new number, just like going from 2025 to 2026. Like a similar thing, if we had this in the Gregorian calendar, would be like saying, okay, the new year is January 1st, and that's the day that we're going to change our date for, change the number of the year from 2025 to 2026. But July is the first month, and we're going to call that month number 1. Right? It doesn't seem to make sense. Yeah, it's hard to explain. It's hard to understand. That doesn't really affect what's going on with the holidays moving around all the time. All right, so I really, really hope that this kind of helps you understand what's going on. I hope this helps you understand why holidays and really any day of the year are not, there's not a one-to-one correlation in between the Hebrew calendar and the Gregorian calendar. I hope it wasn't too complicated. It is a complicated system. But, if you're ever trying to figure out when a holiday is or when a specific day of the year is, seriously, just do what everybody else does and just Google it. All right, so I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Lehitraot bapa'am haba'ah. See you next time.